I'm Mark Becker. Live my life trying to be a follower of Jesus Christ. I am married, just celebrated our 33rd anniversary this past week. We have two boys. We have one that just got married this summer, and then we have one that has been married for a couple years and gave us our first grandchild in April. So we have a grandson now. I'm the athletic director at McDowell High School, a large public school here in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm going into my 12th year as athletic director, and again, God has blessed me tremendously to be surrounded by a great staff, probably 100 coaches, or actually about 200 coaches, 100 different teams, and a ton of athletes every year. I was struggling for a period of time, a couple months, where I'm like, what am I doing? Is this really where I'm supposed to be? Am I supposed to be the athletic director at McDowell High School? 2019, I started going to a men's group here at Grace Church. A co-worker at the time became a really good friend, introduced me, and they were going through the book of James. James 1:27. Read it before in my life, never jumped out at me before, where he talks about pure and genuine religion in the sight of the Lord is caring for our orphans and our widows. So I left there that day and I'm like, if that's pure and genuine religion, what am I doing? And honestly, it was several years of that turning over in my head. It kept coming up to me, and I'd go online and I'd look, Big Brothers. Do I get involved with that? Do I talk to my wife about maybe fostering? And I never did anything. It was always in my head, always something that I was thinking about. And I can pinpoint exactly a moment when it changed for me. It was March 20th. I remember this, March 20th of 2022. A sermon talked about bold obedience.
I mean, did you ever think that your disobedience to God can have just as much of an impact on those around you as your obedience to God can? And I get it. It would be so much easier to obey if we had a clear picture of what God was up to. But we don't, do we? I mean, most often, we don't know what God is up to. But here's the thing, it's not our job to try and figure God out. Our job is to obey.
And as I'm praying, it's the most clearly God has ever talked to me is, Mark, you have 1,500 athletes every year that register for your programs. There's so many kids, there's so many student athletes that have needs and places where you can help. And from that time forward, I've tried to focus on three things that I have on my board. I try to be engaged with my student athletes, I try to be enthusiastic in their presence, and I try to build relationships with them. And I go back to that day where, Derek said, God will provide where he has led you. Over the 12 years, there's been a ton of highlights, a ton of victories. The things that stick out to me, after a big win and a coach seeks me out and gives me a big hug, as he's getting the Gatorade dumped on him and I'm in the background trying to get out of that. You remember those things, because they know what's gone into it. They know how much effort and time and passion that we share. We always say that our purpose or our goal is to win, but that's not our purpose. And in those moments, we're winning, but you can see that everything else, the purpose that we're there for, of bringing the community together and developing these young men and women to do the things that we want them to do, those are the highlights, because you can see it all as one, working towards the same goal and just being so positive. It really is amazing when kids come in as freshmen, but you see these guys and you can tell that they're trying to figure themselves out, right? And then as they grow and as they have good influences, good coaching, you can see how they mature. They start treating their teammates better. They start treating their classmates better. They start being a leader, in not only on the team, but in the classroom. And then you see them struggle. You see them that they don't have the greatest home life maybe, or you have a guy that has an injury. But when you see your student athletes overcome those things, whether it's a home situation, or whether it's an injury, or whether it's growing from somebody that was immature and trying to find themselves, and they find themselves and they become that leader, it's tremendous. It really is. Growing up, my dad was a minister. He was a preacher. And at some point I did think, with my dad's background and influence, is ministry something I want to get into? I've had the opportunity to do other types of ministries, but I feel I want to focus my energies where I'm at right now. That is my ministry. That is my calling. That is where I'm supposed to be. I was 50 before I felt like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So don't give up. It'll come. And if you're searching for it, he'll use you when he's ready to use you, where he wants to use you.